Welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. But guess what? When I was on the way home from recording that last episode, when you saw me at the Duca, I was at North Waterbridge and I was heading from Edzell back to my house. My car completely broke down. I completely lost drive from the engine to the gearbox. So currently I'm actually being recovered here from AKR Channel Historian. I'm getting pulled from the vintage Land Rover here with the tow pole. So basically I'm going to do a video of the car repairs because I can't really go exploring any abandoned ancient wonders like I've been doing until I get this car like fixed. And I've not even had the car for long. That's the crazy thing, folks. I've only had this car like 7 or 8 months and it's totally failed. Like, I think it's either the clutch or maybe the flywheel, but we'll find out. Something different anyway, folks, in this adventure. It's a car repair adventure. But I just thought I would show you, this is the recovery procedure right now, and literally we've got a tow pole there on the front of my car to the back of the Land Rover, and I'm just literally steering the car right now, folks. Check it out. Alright folks, this is now part 2 of this episode when you're about to witness the repair of the Kia 1.6 diesel, which has failed. It's had a catastrophic failure between the drive from the engine to the gearbox here, folks. And in this video we're about to carry out the repair because this is basically what needs done before we can go on any more adventures to visit some abandoned history. And in this episode it features AKR Channel Historian out here. And yeah, we're just cracking on with the work here. I've already actually started. I almost forgot to turn the camera on because I've already started taking out like the air filter box from here and the turbo pipe off. That's the wee turbo down there. And now I'm just about to remove the battery and such like items to let me near the gearbox. And that's the gearbox down here, folks. Look at this, folks. We've now removed the battery box here. This is actually the ECU here, most likely for the engine. Or do you think that's the whole car ECU?
The engine.
Yeah, engine ECU. Right, folks, I've now disconnected all these items down here, all the electrical plugs, and then also the selector cables here. This is the cables basically that operate when you're changing the gears. When you're moving the gear handle, these things move out and in, and then operate this little thing here, and then that selects your gear within the gearbox there of the transmission. And as you can see, you can actually get a proper look of it now that we've stripped a lot of the stuff out. But now this next part of the job, I have to come underneath here, and I've already taken the bolt off which holds the drive shaft here, and now I'm taking off the bottom ball joint, and here we are. This is the gearbox from underneath, folks. The BKR exploring machine. There is a bit of oil hanging about under here, and that could be something related to the issue, folks, but we'll keep you updated whenever we find out the cause. There's definitely something causing catastrophic failure within here, so we'll figure it out. I'm just away to remove the drive shafts, and then we're almost to the stage where we're pulling the gearbox off. Right folks, check this out. Next part of the video here, you can see the bottom ball joint and the drive shaft's now removed. And look, I've taken the drive shaft completely out of the end of the gearbox there, and I've disconnected everything from the gearbox. And I've got this other drive shaft ready to come out. It's half out. So now, it'll be tomorrow for me, but just a couple of seconds in this video, you're about to see us taking these, what we would call the belly bolts out. It's the bolts that hold the engine to the gearbox. And another thing, I'll have to take this bottom turbo intercooler pipe off as well, and that'll allow me to lower the engine down. I've removed this item here as well, and that's the little cylinder which operates the clutch. When you press the clutch pedal, this little cylinder moves out and in and pushes that lever, and that's what operates the clutch mechanism within that bell housing assembly. So yeah, that's basically the job update. We've got some little tubs here. We're catching the oil. The Walls ice cream tubs is super handy for jobs like that. This is the turbo pipe coming right out under here, up to the wee, it's got a wee turbo intercooler right there. That's what that is. Anyway, because I'm waiting to leave the car here basically tonight, I'm waiting to seal up a few of the plugs and maybe the turbo. So here we are, folks. I'm going to use this old bag here and the cable tie, and we're going to seal up the turbo overnight because we don't want any debris or any particles going into the engine via that sort of area. You always want to look after your turbo. That's what's getting us up the steep braes up the glen, up to Glen Shee over the Devil's Elbow. This little nugget here is boosting up and spinning, spooling. And yeah, it's quite a cool, it's a fun little car to drive, and that's why I'm keen to keep it on the road and maintain it. If you get a garage to do this, you'll be, what would you be, AKR? More than £1,000 for sure.
Probably, aye.
And then, when I've got these skills to do it myself, folks, that's what it's all about. And it's important to do stuff like that often. The key thing is to remember to unblock all your pipes before you go fitting them and stuff like that. Because I've seen folk before in the mechanicking game, they would put a pipe on and then leave the blocking thing. It would go in and actually damage things. Hey, that crops up now and again. There's a butterfly. So check this out, folks. This is the first day of reassembling my car. I'm not sure how much footage I got the other night because I had to reformat my SD card on the camera here, and I'm not sure if I lost the footage where I explained, well, actually discovered what was wrong with the unit. This is an unusual video compared to my exploring videos, but it's this car that makes it possible for me to go touring around the beautiful wild glens of Scotland here, and it's fine just to get it fixed and make it like new, so we can go on more crazy adventures over this next year and forever. But look at this, folks. This is the clutch friction disc that I took out, and this is the reason it was freewheeling on the road. That's meant to be fixed and attached to this plate, and as you can see, it's just barreling round in there. It's broken free, and that's the reason that I lost drive catastrophically. And look, here's the new one. This is how it's meant to be. It's completely rigid and it doesn't turn. And I think this is a slightly better quality clutch that I've got here. It's a Sachs clutch that I'm fitting, and the old one seems to be called a Trans Mech, but judging from what I'm seeing, this one just looks like a cheaper quality. Also, another interesting thing, folks, this car actually had a small oil leak from the crankshaft seal, and that's the old crankshaft seal there. You can actually see it's been poorly fitted, incorrectly fitted by whoever's done this at a previous time. Maybe a garage has done this. The seal there is actually dented in the way slightly, and that's basically a sign it's been poorly fitted, and that's been causing my oil leak, so I'm waiting to address that as well. And I've actually got the new oil seal right here, folks. Look at this, the new crankshaft oil seal, and I've got this bit of pipe which I'm gonna use that to chap it in to a certain degree, because that covers the whole face of the seal. So yeah, this is basically the reassembly procedure, folks. So let's get on with the action right here. There we go, folks, that's the old seal removed right there. Quite easily, it just slipped out of there. So hopefully the new one goes in. You can actually see here, around the edge of the seal, you can tell how it's creased. Look, there's an imperfection there, folks, and that's the reason. The oil must have been leaking out under certain conditions. Like when I was going on those mad adventures up to like Kirkmichael and stuff, and the car was driving for like a couple hours at a time in those hot conditions, the oil had started weeping out. So now I'm waiting to insert the new seal into this area. I'll clean out the slot so it's going into a nice clean area right there, and then I'll get back to you, folks. There we are, folks, look at that. The new clutch is in there and it's aligned. It's aligned in the centre, and the new seal's in behind the flywheel. And now I'm ready, I'm waiting to lift the gearbox back in. So here we go, folks. Progress on the job. Here we are now, folks. If you have a look in this giant hole here, which used to be an empty hole when I had the gearbox out, you can now tell we've been assembling it there for the last couple of hours, and I've not actually updated the video for a while. We successfully got the gearbox fitted onto the engine, and now I'm assembling all these components in here, and we're really at the final stages of assembly. Everything's gone pretty well, and the Kia's been pretty good to work on overall. Compared to some previous cars I've had over the years, like BMW and stuff like this, the Kia is just a pleasure. A lot of modern car manufacturers they've done away with bolts and stuff, and they make stupid clips, and other things, whereas the Kia's just still using bolts and things, which is good to see. It's kind of old school in design, and yeah, if somebody hadn't put in that cheap, terrible clutch in it, it probably would never have failed at this stage. But it's most likely been fitted by a garage to cut some labour, to cut some costs. The cheap clutch would have meant it was just the labour they were paying for, so that's what often happens. But we are putting a decent clutch in, folks. The BKR Explorer Mobile needs a decent clutch in it for sure. For the big brays. Here we are, folks. This is what the completed Kia engine actually looks like, and we've now fully assembled the transmission on the end and refitted the airbox, the battery. The only thing that's left to go on is the top engine cover here, the little plastic shield. But it was a real successful operation, as we can see from underneath. I've actually filled the gear oil up from here, and yeah, it's looking well, folks. So hopefully now I'm going to take it for a test drive. The thing's going to be perfect. And we've fully managed to repair the car. A repair like that at the garage would be over £1,000 probably. I've probably managed to fix it with parts and stuff. I was probably like 4 hours to strip it down and maybe about 5 to build it back up, and I would say the parts was probably about £250 then, so definitely a saving. Just having that skill, folks, to be able to actually fix things. And back in the day, that would have been like putting a new wooden wheel on your horse and cart or something. Nowadays, it's a bit more technical, a bit more complex. But I think it's important to know how all this stuff works and operates. Every little component you see here is crucial and vital to the operation of the car. And it just shows like one of those things goes wrong, like the clutch centre plate. In hindsight, it looks like the oil leak was caused because the old crank oil seal had been poorly fitted. And also the clutch had failed because somebody had fitted like a cheap bargain bucket clutch, we'll call it. And I would probably advise people to stay away from that, like that make of clutch, whatever it was. You've seen it earlier in the video. Yeah, I think it was called Transmech is the make. And like we looked up on Google and there's actually some poor reports from them. Kind of a lot of folk having similar issues, just with poor build quality of the items, but that Sachs clutch that we've put in should be top quality, decent bit of kit. And yeah, we're just about ready for action, folks. I'm going to take it for a wee test drive, and then we'll be back to exploring ancient history, and that's what we love on this channel. Right, folks, I'm going to end this video here. The car's going fine, the repair has been successful, and now I'm going to be able to go on some crazy adventures once again with a little Kia. So it's been something different in this episode, the repair of the car. I'm going to end this one here. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back soon with the next adventure into the wild lands of Scotland.